Talk with Kerry Mar show for Thursday, July 28th. We're going to be doing American Conference Media Days. So we're going to be going in with the live feed, and you'll be able to hear what the American Conference coaches are talking about as they address the media. So we're going to go ahead and send those links out to you. If you want to come in and video chat with us, you can do that. So we'll go ahead and set that up for you, and we'll be up in just a second. Okay, we're going to send this over to Yahoo, YouTube, whatever. Send this over to YouTube, and we'll get ready to go. Okay, once again, Facebook and YouTube has the StreamYard link, so we're going to go ahead and send it over to the conference, American Conference. So let's get this started. I'm going to put this up on the screen for you.
You've been in a lot of, you have some things to draw back on. I think it's more comfortable in what we're doing now and what he does in that. I think the amount of time that he's been able to spend not only in the film room but on the field with the receivers and getting that timing and that work with them, I think is going to pay dividends for us. And so for him, I think it's relaxing, understanding down and distance situational things, getting us in the right play at the right time, and then just executing at a high level.
Will be Leo Haggerty, Amped Up Sports, please.
Coach, you're going to be dealing with some oppressive heat in the fall training. How are you going to have to deal with that, knowing that you're going to have to play in that probably in September?
Yeah, there's good and bad to that, honestly. The tough part is you got it. You got to know how to deal with it. You got to protect your players, but you got to get your work in as you do that. The tough part is we've been dealing it now for multiple weeks, and so our guys are starting to really adjust and understand what it feels like and what it's going to be when we step on the field come fall camp time. So I think mentally they're ready for it. Physically, we got to do a good job of monitoring things and making sure we have to adjust our practice schedule a little bit. That break may need to be a little bit longer. This may need to happen, and we'll kind of keep our eyes on that as we work our way through it. But we got to be smart about getting the work in that we need.
Got a follow up from Dan Tortora, please.
Coach, you've been in this league, as I said before, 7 going into 8 seasons with Tulsa. So we've gotten to obviously see some change, and change will happen again with Cincinnati, Houston, and UCF going out, 6 coming in. How do you look at realignment and just what you can say about building those bridges and those relationships within conference, and then having those, obviously, not wanting them to diminish, but knowing that they will change like the commissioner spoke about?
Well, I think number one, we've built this conference together, and I think the respect that our conference has gained throughout the nation is tremendous, and that has happened through a lot of hard work and us playing skills and going on the road, playing some tough games as a conference group, and then performing well in those. And then as you got into conference, you saw the levels just every year continuing to step up. You look at the number of draft picks that have happened out of our league. You look at the coaches that have been in our league. You've got some really exceptional coaches leading these groups, but these athletes that are in our conference, they are tough and they are continuing to grow, and the talent level here is all-time high. As we welcome these new teams in, I'm excited about that. It's gonna bring some more regional matchups to it. It's gonna bring some fanfare to it, I believe. I think the competition level is gonna stay at a really high spot, and I know I am looking forward to those opportunities. But obviously, right now we've got the ones that we've got, and looking forward to this season with them.
We'll take one more from Nathan Thompson, please.
Coach, kind of following up on that, is there any kind of different feel going into this season with you knowing it's the last one with some of the bigger names programs before they leave for the Big 12? I don't know, any kind of pride of not wanting them to win on their last year on who?
Well, our focus is always to win that week, whoever we're playing, and I look forward to obviously some of those matchups because we've had some great matchups, whether that's Cincinnati or Houston or whoever. And so I don't think there adds any more to it. We've had some great rivalries that really generated through this. You think about Tulsa and Houston, they've been in the same conference a lot throughout the years. So there's a good, strong rivalry there. I think we've created this thing with Cincinnati over the past 7 to 8 years. It's been a great matchup, just kind of swinging both ways. So I'm excited to step on the field with them again this year. It's always a great competitive game. It's always a real physical game. And those are the ones that you always kind of pinpoint and always looking forward to.
Coach Philip Montgomery, appreciate the time. I'll chat with Mother Nature. Maybe we'll see if we get you some below triple-digit days as you guys begin fall camp. We haven't seen that in Dallas yet, but maybe up there.
Well, if you can send it our way, I'll take it. I promise you that.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this season.
Hey, thank y'all. Appreciate it.
I find that baloney that you can get adapted to. Listen, it's been over 107 here for the last 30 days. But I mean, it's a factor. Here we have to get ready for a season, and it's hard to stay out there on the field.
And you got to players have to hydrate. I mean, say it, but and it can be dangerous. Coach talked about it, but you got to get ready because you got to play in the season. So you just got to manage it.
We're going to talk to quarterback Davis Brin in just a bit. A great freshman year. We talk about what we can build off of it. Those 16 interceptions. When you look at his play, what do you want to, and what were the interceptions caused by that you feel like can work on this sophomore year?
I think as a young player, the biggest issue you have when you get into college football and get on the field is the speed of the game. And schematically, what defensive coordinators try to do, right? They're trying to disguise things, and that'll happen to a young quarterback, and you'll see a hole there, and you think you can get it in there, and you really shouldn't have made that throw. So that's the experience you gain as a young quarterback getting on the field like a Davis Brin. But it's funny, I laugh because that was what I circled in my notes, the 16 interceptions. So I know if we ask Davis, that's the one thing he's going to want to improve upon. There's no doubt about it.
I remember talking with Coach Montgomery years ago. It's like every time I feel like there's questions about my team. I feel like he's really put his stamp here on year 8, going back to the last couple of years, 2020 when they make the championship game. What is it about the dynamic of his teams that he's been able to build some success there?
He's had consistency. And Coach Montgomery is one of those guys that every couple of years his name kind of gets out there. Is he going to make it? Are they going to let him go? And he just fights through that, right? And he mentioned it. I think the biggest issue he's going to have, and coaches all over the country, this new dynamic with the transfer portal is there's so many new faces. And so not only, okay, you're bringing in good players, but are they going to mesh and gel with the team being new? And so I think that's a new dynamic that coaches are going to deal with this season and moving forward.
Yeah, it's a season, but what you want to do out of the transfer portal, which I thought you said was interesting, is not just get a guy to plug and play for 1 year. We're getting guys that still have multiple years of eligibility left, so we don't have to do this year after year.
Yeah, and I think that's the big thing, and really, and it's new for us as well as we look at teams. It's really free agency for college football with no rules. I mean, players are just coming and going, and you're trying to keep track of it. But yeah, add those players, and he talked about the amount of players he lost, but he kept some players in some really good positions, obviously like a Davis Brin, Justin Wright at middle linebacker. So, and we didn't even talk about Luke Olson's a new defensive coordinator there. Now, he was on the staff for 11 years. He was under Joe Speed, who left. So, but I guarantee Coach Olson will have a wrinkles to the defense as well, add something a little new.
We'll be able to ask the players, quarterback Davis Brin, linebacker Justin Wright, joining us now. Guys, appreciate you hopping on. I'm going to start with you, Davis. A fantastic freshman year. When you enter spring fall camp, what were some details of your game that you want to improve upon as you enter the 2022 season?
Yeah, the biggest thing that I've been focusing on lately is taking care of the ball. Going to be a huge thing for us this season, and I've been watching more film than ever, and but also been working on the deep ball and my pocket presence and all that. So I'm really excited about the made.
Questions? We can start with Caden McFarland, please.
All right. Both of you guys can answer this. A lot of transfers, obviously. How has the bonding, gone this summer? And it's been forever, I guess, in college football that there are transfers, but it seems like there's more this year and guys who probably need the help immediately. So, Davis, especially for you as a quarterback in a leadership position, and Justin, same for you on the defensive side. How have you gone about trying to make sure that this thing gels well?
Yeah, that's a super important part, especially with the portal and some new faces we have this year, especially offensive line and a few receivers as well. We've done a lot of good things this summer. I like to cook a lot, so we've done some cookouts over at the house, taking some guys fishing, done a lot of stuff like that just to help some chemistry between the team.
Yeah, we've had a lot of linebacker cookouts as well as Davis. I'm really impressed with some of the guys, and all of the guys. Really, we've had an awesome off season, and I'm very excited for what all these guys can do.
I got to follow real quickly on that. Who's got the better cookouts? Linebackers or quarterback?
Definitely linebackers.
I don't know about that. Sometimes I'm on the linebacker cookouts.
True.
Game all.
Agree to disagree.
Game all.
Okay, we'll take the next one from Nathan Thompson, please.
Hi, guys. This is for you, Davis. Obviously, you guys moved the ball really well last year. I think top 30 in the country in total offense, but couldn't get into the end zone quite as easily. How do you make that translate of being able to move the ball to be able to score more points? Just a matter of reining in the turnovers, or is there more to it?
Yeah, turnovers are definitely going to help, but that's something we really want to do is be explosive and put a lot of points on the board. Also just finishing in the red zone and getting 7 points instead of kicking a field goal for 3. So that's going to be a big emphasis.
Next one, we'll go to Larry Lewis, please.
Coach Montgomery was talking about the heat. He was asked about the heat, and I know you all are used to heat, but this has been an extraordinarily hot summer. How y'all been handling it?
Piece of cake. No, I'm from the South. I know Dave's from the South. A lot of our guys are from the South-ish. I mean, it's not a big issue with us.
Okay, that makes sense. So you think they're going to be moving practices maybe a little earlier, maybe, or a little later in the day? Might be splitting some up, or what do you think?
I don't know. We'll see. That's above my pay grade, but the heat's definitely going to be out there, and we're going to play in whatever weather. We're just going to take care of our bodies and go perform.
Okay. Next one will come from Dan Tortora, please. Wake Up Call DT.
Well, first with Dave just said that he spoke on you relaxing. How would you describe how you can do that as a quarterback on the field? And kind of the juxtaposition of that, Justin, you're known to be a psycho. How would you describe that?
Yeah, relaxing is going to be big for me also. I feel very comfortable where I'm at right now. Having a little bit more patience, letting receivers get open and not fire away too quick. So that's definitely going to help me be successful this year.
For me, I'm pretty much I'm a completely different person off the field or off and on the field. So just keep being aggressive. Playing fast, physical. Doing what I've always been doing, I guess, and trying to incorporate that along to the other defensive players with me.
Do you like the nickname? Is it okay with you?
Yeah. I've had that since Pop Warner. Stuck. Definitely stuck.
Okay, we'll take the next question from Michelle Montaigne, please.
This one's for you. Entering now into your second year where not every single thing is brand new. How do you feel at this point in 2022 versus how you felt this time in 2021 last year?
Yeah, I feel great. Super comfortable, super confident. Just having a whole season under my belt, seeing a lot of looks that aren't going to be new to me. I'm just looking forward to using that on the field to be successful.
Okay, and we'll go to the next one to Caden McFarland, please.
Justin, your defensive coordinator left, and we assume at least that you had some good options in the transfer portal. Why did you end up, making the decision to stay at TU? And what do you think you can get accomplished this year? Growing your game.
Honestly, that's an easy answer. TU's my home. It's where I struggled here. I bled here. I got married. I proposed to my wife here. TU's home, and I can do everything that I can do anywhere else here. And so I've got I know the here. I mean, everybody's like family here. I've got big ambitions for this season and for this school and all of that. So it was an easy decision for me.
Justin, Davis, appreciate the time. Enjoy fall camp. Have a healthy season. Looking forward to watching you guys start this fall.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
I learned a new word, Rini, Southern-ish. I'm also glad to see the cookouts. I remember covering David Collins, huge fishing guy, country guy. That seems to have continued a tradition.
And how about Justin right there? In this era now that we're talking about transfer portal kids leaving, decides to stay home. We haven't talked about that enough. How many players are I'm not going to do it. I'm going to stay home. That tells me a lot right there about that young man.
And for as big of a recruiting job as these coaches have to do bringing people in, sometimes the biggest recruiting job is keeping your talent on your home field. All right, in terms of the teams that we've met with so far, a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of optimism. What is your sense of what you've learned so far?
Yeah, I think the media picks where they are. I kind of align with that. And really the theme to me this first session is what we just talked about, transfer portal, adding those pieces, and which coach, which team can add those pieces seamlessly, to start the season. We'll see. It remains to be seen.
So this is the first half of our show. We will have a second half with 6 more teams. Here's a look at some of the opening day schedule for the American Athletic Conference. The teams that we will see hit the field, and the very first one is going to be UCF. That's a Thursday game against South Carolina State, September 1st. A Friday game, Temple going to visit Duke, and then a huge slate on September 3rd. Is there one of those that sticks out to you? I've already said Cincinnati. Arkansas was mine, so you take somebody else.
I mean, I like NC State, East Carolina. I talked about them. It's easy. I can go down to UMass Tulane, but I won't. But yeah, that NC State, East Carolina game early, I think is big. I know you took Cincinnati, Arkansas. That Memphis, Mississippi State game they played last year. That was a great matchup. So now it's Mississippi State, so that's a great one to keep your eye on as well.
Get ready for the cowbells, our friends at Mississippi State, as you enter Starkville. Here's the second half of our day for American Athletic Conference Media Day. We will start things back up with the coach at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. Talk to Navy, Houston, Temple, UCF, Tulane, in South Florida, finishing off our day. But it's time for the Athletic Conference halftime for our Media Day. Here's Morgan Huber.
Thanks, Chris. We've got a great next hour planned ahead for you. We'll be talking to a trained psychologist from SMU's campus on student-athlete mental health, and we'll hear from some of our football student-athletes on the American Powerful Minds Initiative. And it's never early to talk college football bowl season. We'll college football playoff first. We've got plenty more for you here on American Football Media Day.
Decade Power Performance. And a vision for powerful. This is the American Athletic Conference.
How do you drive impact for 200 years? By doing it boldly, by building a bridge, breaking a barrier, planting a flag, owning a stage. Because here, we learn by doing, and status quo was built to be broken. So be proud, be bold, be Cincinnati. We're 2 centuries in, and we're still creating what's next. We are locally Bearcat.
Going to have an absolutely electric atmosphere this afternoon in Texas.
Sellout crowd of more than 72,000.
Season, the American, Cincinnati, and even college football fans will never forget. The Bearcats finished number 4 in the country in the final college football playoff rankings after breaking through what many be a glass ceiling, becoming the first team in the American to make the college football playoff. And the CFP's executive director, Bill Hancock, joins us now in the American studios. Bill, first off, it's great to have you here. Thanks so much for taking the time to join us. How did the 2021 Cincinnati Bearcats making the playoff validate the system?
Well, first of all, Morgan, thank you and Commissioner for letting me do these media days. Are always a lot of fun, and I hope we can all get together again next summer. As to Cincinnati, Cincinnati earned it. They deserved it. We've always said, play a good schedule, win your games, and you're going to be in the hunt for the CFP. And Cincinnati did that. We all remember how close Houston came a few years ago, and Cincinnati just absolutely earned what they got.
With the college football playoff now heading into year 9, how would you say the growth and popularity of the sport has continued to grow because of the CFP?
The sport is growing, and CFP can't take all the credit for that, for sure. But I think we can take some of the credit. Now we have a tournament at the end of the season. We're very pleased with the growth of CFP after these first 8 years. We're bringing new fans to the game. We now have an iconic event at the end of the season to decide the champion that we never really had before. So we couldn't be happier with the first 8 years of CFP, and we're looking forward to the future.
Speaking of the future, after a number of meetings this past year, the college football playoff essentially is locked in at just 4 teams after looking at making some changes. But as you look to 2026 and the new potential models, what is the single biggest consideration as you're looking at building a new system and new format?
Hey, that was a good segue by me to get into the future, Morgan. You're welcome.
Thank you, Bill. Yes, you deserve all the credit on that one.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. You know, it might be helpful just to look at the history a little bit of what happened. The commissioners appointed a working group to look at a potential change in the format back in 2012. That was the instigation of our board of new residents. And then the pandemic hit and everything kind of ground to a halt. But early in the summer of 2021, as you know, the working group presented a proposal that was to be considered by all the conferences on campus. Every president, every AD, every coach, and student athletes were to look at the proposal. And of course, the proposal was for a 12-team tournament. And the commissioners came back together, and over a couple of months of discussion wound up in February, saying some of us not ready to have a new format. And our board, university presidents said, okay, we get that. And they paused. And so the discussion about the future is now on pause. It will, before too long, begin again. It need to begin again because we do have 4 more years on this agreement. But we don't know what format. We're starting in 2026. I'm confident that leaders will do the right thing. The conferences that weren't ready to move forward, some of the discussion was about automatic modification for certain conferences. Some was about the involvement of the bowl games, and some was about is this the right time? Shouldn't we take a deep breath and come back and wait till some other matters get settled out? And then some other was about student athletes. What about their time demands? What about their health and safety? And I am confident that all that will be able to be worked out, and that we will have a new format in time for that 2026 season.
We're seeing a changing landscape right now within college athletics with realignment and everything else that's going on. How do you anticipate, though, the CFP's potential to play a larger role in the governance of college football?
Well, one thing is clear, and it's that our conferences, the FBS conferences, would like to have more autonomy, more say in how they're managed. And I think that only makes sense. The ones who are actually in the trenches working at our level should be controlling how their football is operated. And this could be everywhere from playing rules to eligibility rules. I don't know how that will come about. It's early in the conversation. I don't know whether CFP is a vehicle for that, or possibly just through the NCAA. Maybe the NCAA could create another division that would just be our group. But I know one thing. I know it's time for our group, the FBS conferences and schools, to have more say about how they're administered.
Bill, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We know things are changing day to day, and certainly excited to see here what the future holds with the CFP. Thanks for all that you do.
Hey, great. Thank you, Morgan. Take care.
Bowl Talk continues. Stay with us on American Football Media Day. The Executive Director of Bowl Season, Nick Harparelli, joins us next.
What is true blue? It's true loyalty. Supporting others with unwavering commitment. It's true innovation. Thinking creatively and strategically to make a difference. It's true strength. Taking risks and standing up for what's right. True Blue is a 125-year legacy. Find the true blue at the University of Tulsa.
A decade of power performance. And a vision for a powerful future. This is the American Athletic Conference.
In this house, we wear red.
Game day. Any day. Cougar Red isn't just what you wear. It's who you are. The University of Houston. Powerhouse.
Trajectory. At UCF, it's science we know well. But there's more to it than physics. It's life. Your path is affected by actions and forces that can change the trajectory of your life. By uniting world-class faculty, cutting-edge research, and access to opportunity, UCF changes trajectories like no other university. Ready to change yours?
Welcome to the Union Home Mortgage Gasparillo. Welcome to the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl. Turn It's a brand new season for Dana Holderson in 2021. 12-2 for the Cougars' final record.
Welcome back to American Football Media Day. I'm Morgan Uber. When you think college football in December, two words come to mind: bowl season. Nick Harparelli is the executive director of bowl season, and we have the opportunity to welcome him right now into the American studios. First off, thanks so much for taking the time to join us. College football fans, when they think bowl season, it's a 3-week period in December, but you literally represent bowl season. When it launched in 2020, what is the entity of bowl season?
That's a great question. You know, I think the answer is just as you. It's a 3-week time of year in December that American sports fans look forward to year. But you peel back the layers. You know, we created a brand new sports entity. You know, it's not to say that because bowl games have been around for 100 years. But when I was hired 2 years ago as the executive director of the Football Bowl Association, which no one had ever heard of, even though it had served the individual bowl games collectively for about 30 years, but it was nothing more than an internal trade association. When we created bowl season, it was to be a more public-facing sports brand that helps unite all 40 bowl games under one umbrella. You think of March Madness in basketball. Obviously, college basketball and college football are very different, but college football has bowl season at the end. Like we said, it's that 3-week time of year that people look forward to every year, and it's been an exciting project, and really excited about where we're heading.
As executive director, what all does your job entail?
Well, I think like a lot of jobs in sports, you get the questions, well, what do you when it's not bowl season? You know, it's goes into them. We stay here long. We have a big annual meeting in April where everybody who works for a bowl game, does business with a bowl game, comes together. We had 500 people for 4 days. I'm busy networking with college football administrators. One of my big jobs is to be an advocate for the bowl system, and each of these bowl games tell all the great stories about how meaningful the bowl game experience is to everyone involved, the student athletes, the institutions in general, the communities that host the games. So we do that all year long, and now we're at a period of time where we're starting to gear up for the football season, kicking off on Labor Day and leading right into bowl season.
Tradition, pageantry, bragging rights, it all sums up college football. But for you, what sparks your passion for college football, specifically the bowl season?
Well, I'm kind of a sucker for all those things, pageantry, tradition, rivalries, some of the times we're seeing in college athletics these days with conference realignment, it saddens me. I think it's at the expense of a lot of great rivalries, a lot of regional matchups, things that really matter to people. It's all driven by money, and I think that's important, but it's not the be-all, end-all. I don't think fans care how much money their institution makes off their athletic program. They just like watching the teams play, and they like to see who they play. It's meaningful to them. I think in bowl games, you hang on to some of that tradition in college football, and you see these great matchups every December. Some of them are, I think you're starting to see some rivalries renewed in bowl games, rivalries that have gone away in the regular season. I think the bowl organizers and the conferences are making a conscious effort to maybe match up those rivals in a bowl game when they used to be in a regular season. At the same time, you see some really unique matchups. Bowl games are events where two teams who have had a successful season play one additional game against they wouldn't normally schedule in a location they wouldn't normally go, and it gets their fan base an opportunity to experience a part of the country and a specific community that they wouldn't normally go to. So it's a great time of year. We call bowl season the celebration of college football, and we think that's a perfect description.
On the flip side of that, there's also the rising rate of opt-outs and transfer portal chaos over the past couple of years. Why, though, is bowl season still essential and important, really, to the landscape of college football?
But, there's a lot of ways that coaches and football programs look at bowls. For a lot of them, it's a reward for a successful season. For some of them, it's also a launching point for the following season where you get to see some younger guys play, and it sets the tone for the off season. If you go to a bowl game and you win the bowl game, things are different in that off season. You have a little extra hop in your step in the weight room and in spring practice, and a lot more energy season. For us, we're very proud that bowl games can give seniors one last chance to play the game of football with their friends. You mentioned the opt-outs. Well, we focus on the opt-in. There's over 95% of college football players are not going to play in the NFL. So for the majority of them, it's their last football game they'll ever play. That's something they've been doing since maybe they were 5 years old. And then they have to go on with the rest of life. I think that's why the bowl game experience creates such great, long-lasting memories for these guys that they'll never forget.
Logistically, the regular season ends, conference championship games are played. What then is the process for bowl selection and matchups?
It's a good chance. It's really an ongoing process. You know, once you get into November, especially November, the conferences and the bowl games who have partnerships with one another start conversations. You look at the standings, they figure out, you know, they probably narrow it down to a handful of teams that may make sense for their game. Once you get through the end of the regular season, heading into the conference championship game, there's some matchups that are probably pretty well set. Teams that are not participating in the conference championship games, and some planning starts then. But as you mentioned, right when those conference championship games end, it's a frenzy on Saturday night and into Sunday, where all the matchups are finalized. There's a lot of conversation, a lot of conference calls between bowl game executive directors, conference office administrators, athletic directors to sort it all out. It's a big puzzle. It really is, but it's a fun time of year. We found through the launch of bowl season and really activating around key times of the year and key days specifically, that Selection Sunday, all eyes in the sports world are on bowl season, and it's a lot. It's a hectic day, but it's a lot of fun.
It's not just one single game, but truly a celebration of college football all year round. Nick, thank you so much for taking the time. Never too. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Morgan. Appreciate the time.
Coming up next on American Football Media Day, we'll keep talking Bulls. The executive director of the Armed Forces Bowl, Brant Ringler, joins us live from the American Studios. Stay with us.
Here, I test my limits. Here, I find my purpose.
Here, I attend a top-ranked school and taught by the best.
Here, I am part of something bigger than myself.
Here, the United States Naval Academy, we wear the navy gold bowl.
A decade of power performance.
And the vision of our powerful future.
This is the American Athletic Conference.
Since 2006, the Armed Forces Bowl honors the sacrifices of the men and women, both past and present, selflessly serve our country. The pageantry and game itself recognizes 6 branches of the military with a wall of heroes, flyovers, on-field induction ceremonies, and so much more. Joining me right now in the American Studio, Executive Director of the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl, Brant Ringler. Brant, first off, it's great to have you here. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I myself had the opportunity to experience this bowl game in person this past December, and just the spectacle, the pageantry, all of it. You guys haven't just created a bowl game, but really a unique way, a genuine way to honor our military. How have you done that?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. It really comes down to a lot. It comes down to our team that we have in the office, our executive council, our volunteers of over 400, phenomenal title sponsor Lockheed Martin that's with us for 12 years. And you have the word genuine. When we honor our we have to be genuine about it. We just can't roll out a couple of people and say thank you for your service. No, it's the entire event. So constantly throughout the game, we have ways in which we say thank you. We've had homes given away, cars given away. iBots, which are standing wheelchairs. Those are some things that are life-changing events for people. And so for them to experience that and us to provide that really gives our moniker of Bowl for the Brave, who we're honoring, a meaning. So we try to do that in every facet that we can, and we try to do it throughout the entire game, throughout the entire year.
Over the past 20 years, 11 times the military institutions, Air Force, Army, Navy, they've been represented in the game. What's different when those military institutions are there playing in that stadium?
Well, it adds obviously to the theming that we have around the Horses Bowl. But, anytime the military academy is in the game, you always feel like they're the underdog. You also know that they're going to play full 60 minutes. There's no quit in those guys. But the one main thing that I think is so easy to play for, you know what these guys are going to do after they finish their football careers. They're going to go serve our country. So it's not hard to pull for those guys, right? So we thank them for that, and it just makes our event even more exciting.
With the Navy being American and this partnership with the American dates all the way to 2014, what has the partnership really provided for you all?
Well, first of all, the American Athletic Conference has great leadership. We've always enjoyed working with them. They have the same purpose we do in taking care of the student athletes and have a good experience, make sure their fans well. And then the AAC has provided a lot of great teams. We've had a ranked Navy. We've had a ranked Tulsa in our game. We've had the greatest comeback, and I think of any game ever with Houston and Pittsburgh when Houston was down 1-6 with 8 minutes left in the game, and they came back and won the game. That created a phenomenal experience for everybody that was part of that game. So I can't say enough about the relationship. It's been fantastic.
Definitely a Sports Center top moment that we'll never forget. And when you think about bowl games, it's so much more, though, than the game itself on the field. It's really a year-long celebration, a week-long celebration for these teams in town. How do they really give back to the communities right there in Fort Worth, Texas?
So the teams, we involve them in several different ways. Obviously, we do like the Cook Children's Hospital. They go visit the kids. But what we've done several times is also take them to the Tarrant County Food Bank. And they'll have a competition in how many bags can they fill for our homeless veterans. And so they'll load up like 500 or 600 bags of food, and then they'll delivered to our veteran need.
Why is Fort Worth such a perfectly situated location really for this bowl game?
Well, it's a really very patriotic city. It's also, a lot of people don't know this, but it's the 12th largest city in the nation, and it's continuing to grow. There's a Naval Air Station Joint Reserve Base in town as well, so all the branches are represented. A lot of retirees stay in the Fort Worth area because it's just a great city, and they all come out to our game. So all our corporate partners are required to buy for the military. So they go online, and we don't just hand tickets out. They go online, get their tickets, and come to the game. We have 25,000 every year come to be honored at our game. Makes it really special. And they're from our community, which makes it even better, right?
When you think of all of the other pageantry that's going on around the fanfare, what to you stands out most in the different fan fest, the different experiences that this game?
Yeah, so our fan fest is called the Tailgate to go with our theming. Within the Tailgate Outpost is a special area called the Veterans Village. We have over 40 nonprofits there to help veterans. They're all veteran organizations. So when veterans come to our game, we don't know if they have some type of issue or what they need to connect with. And so if they connect with any of these organizations, we've done our job, and we've provided them a resource to help them with their lives. So we always feel that's very special.
A big anniversary to be celebrating this year, 20 years. What's new? What's next? What can fans expect here on December 22nd this year?
Well, I wish I could tell you everything the fans could expect, but we haven't announced them all. But we got a lot of good stuff. We're going to continue to do our Great American Patriot Award. We got someone that we think is going to be phenomenal. It's never been done before. We also are going to continue certain things. We'll continue honoring our Purple Heart recipients. We'll have over 100 Purple Heart recipients. We also have some really big names that have done a lot of stuff and a lot of good stuff for our military that we're going to bring out and have them honored as well and be a part of our day overall. And then at the end of the day, the winning team will go home with Armed Forces trophy. And what's really special about our trophy, there's no other trophy like it in the world, is that we actually have parts from every branch of service that are melted down into it. So when that team takes that trophy home, they're actually taking a little bit of the Armed Forces with them. So it's very special.
Definitely would love to see that trophy up close and in person. Brant, thank you so much for taking the time to join us, driving over from Fort Worth to our studios here in Las Colinas. We appreciate everything that you do for the Armed Forces Bowl and for our military.
Well, thank you, Morgan. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Coming up next, we'll have much more here for you on American Football Media Day. Be sure to keep it locked in right here on ESPN+.
Okay, once again, Lord Dan is coming up on American Media Days.
decade of power performance.
Okay, we'll be doing Saints coverage later on in the week. So we're doing that for you. We're on Facebook, YouTube.
And a vision for a powerful future.
I think the American Conference, I'll tell you, this conference is absolutely
At
built
Tulane
up.
University, we are innovators who embrace our uniqueness and unite behind a shared commitment.
I mean,
we make way for research that matters.
It's just
For big
with all these new teams coming in.
Ideas.
This conference, like I said, it's been standing up.
Research, collaboration, and innovation. We make way for a better tomorrow.
Welcome back into American Football Media Day. Tulane Director of Athletics Troy Dannon has been a very significant influence in the world of college athletics, serving in many leadership positions. As chair of the Football Competition Committee, a member of the Football Oversight Committee, Constitution Committee, and the newly formed Transformation Committee, Dannon is charged with creating recommendations to create change college sports as we know it adapts to unprecedented change. I now have the pleasure to welcome Troy into the American studios. Troy, first off, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. Your most recent leadership role, you were named the NCAA Division I Transformation Committee. What is the overall motivation and purpose of this group?
Well, I think it really began after the Alston decision last summer in the Supreme Court, which took some of the legal precedent for how the NCAA operated off the table and find a lot of areas where we were in violation of antitrust law. And so it led to the formation of the Constitution Committee, which all three divisions came together, basically restructured and reorganized the fundamental philosophies of the NCAA. There wasn't a lot of consternation with it because most everything was, as I said, philosophical in nature. And I think the most significant part of the Constitution Committee was charging each division with then reorganizing itself to make sure, one, we were in compliance with the antitrust laws as was defined where we ought to comply with the Supreme Court, but also to try to set a structure that would carry the NCAA forward for the next umpteen years. This is really the first time in the last 30 to 35 years that such a task undertaken. So really it has a legal decision in its background, but it's long overdue.
In a year where college athletics has experienced major changes, you mentioned the Alston case ruling and image and likeness, the transfer portal. What is your evaluation of the current state of college athletics right now?
Well, honestly, I think we spent maybe the better part of 30 years, piling things into the corner, and ultimately, I think personally, I don't know that we were responsive enough or proactive enough, and that's all of our collective faults. And all of a sudden, that pile of things got so high that all of a sudden it's come tumbling down. So there are a lot of things that I think in best practice you would have seen things addressed over time, whereas maybe we didn't, and now we have a whole lot of things facing us at one time. Add in a couple of things. One, I think the last 5 years, and I've been at Tulane for 6.5, and so maybe the last 6 years, it's a different job as an athletic director today. The mental health focus of student athletes, the George Floyd decision, and really I think the subsequent empowerment of the student athlete voice, something that I know when I interviewed, there were no questions about what's the role of the student athlete voice today. Everything we're talking about, both at the Constitution Transformation Committee level, was about how do we elevate and empower the role and the voice of the student athlete. So it is a totally different world in which we're living today, a world that's changing pretty quickly. And in a world where, I think all things come down to money, and now we're at a place where we see coaches making $10 million a year. We see athletic departments, routinely over $100 million in total spend, as the money increased, and maybe midway to increasing what we could do for the student athlete experience, I think all those things kind of came to a head, revealed in the Supreme Court decision, and now we're scrambling.
Of all of the conversations that have been addressed in the last year with the transformation, where have you all made the most progress?
Well, depending upon who you ask, we've made no progress. I think the important thing with the transformation committee was we maybe worked backwards, and that was starting with the things that were legal liabilities in our rules. We have a 400-page rule book, and if you go back to the really the formation of the NCAA, it was brought up, created for three main reasons. One, health and safety for the student athletes. Two, playing roles in league championships. But the rule book we have is not as big as it is because of those three areas. The rule book is 400 pages because we also try to regulate the NCAA. We, meaning the schools, have asked the NCAA to do that. We also regulate areas of maybe competitive equity that frankly cannot and should not be regulated. You want a homogeneity. We are not a homogeneous group of institutions, but whether geographically or fundamentally in our student composition, size, investment, however you want to say it. So we've really spent, I think, the last or the first 6 months of the transformation committee work looking at how do we deregulate or re-regulate or assess what we do and make sure that things we do are, one, core to the purpose of the organization, core to the need of the institutions, but also are legally grounded and founded in we don't need to be in court every day. And the NCAA has spent much of the last few years in court. The next piece that and I think everybody's waiting for is how do you govern in Division I, this group with budgets of $1 million and as high as $260 million. Some that play football, some that don't play football, some take a level of FCS football. How do you govern that group of people together toward the same outcome? As we head into the days of this, I think you'll see the governance, you'll see the things that may grieve people a little bit more because there'll be more dramatic changes than we've seen in the past.
One of the main topics this group is looking to regulate, name, image, and likeness. What is the single biggest concern regarding NIL right now?
Well, I think if you ask everyone, they'll tell you the incentivizing the recruiting. I don't think anybody that I've talked to has any issue with name, image, likeness opportunities for student athletes that are on our rosters, but using those as faux deals to get kids to commit and to sign. That was always the problem. As NIL was discussed, even pre-pandemic, how do you control pre-enrollment and control it from being an inducement? And I think as we've seen that it's almost impossible to control without congressional intervention, and I'm not one who believes congressional intervention is even an option at this point in time. So we're going to have to adapt and adjust to part. We have something that we're in name, image, and likeness that we're really first full year of understanding. I don't think the market has settled just yet. It's presenting challenges that none of us ever had to deal with. But you also have to understand one thing about higher ed. That as a general rule, this is a massive enterprise, and much like a ship, a massive enterprise. So it's going to take some time to stuff. The thing you have to understand is that when you're at the top of the totem pole, change is not necessarily your friend because change challenges your position at the top of the totem pole. And so a lot of people are figuring out that you change and evolve and adjust if you want to maintain your position. For a school like Tulane, and even for the American Athletic Conference, has done since Mike came in. Every time it's come, we've responded well to it, and maybe stepped up ahead of other schools. And another challenge, and you can either complain about it, or you can figure out to propel yourself forward. And I think that's already the schools in our league doing, and that's what I see our conference as a whole doing.
Troy, thank you so much for taking the time in your summer months to spend some time with us and educate us about all the great things that you're doing. The Transformation Committee is doing for athletics. Really appreciate it.
We're going to appreciate it. You know, good times are ahead, great times are ahead for the American Athletic Conference. I think a little bit of a sweet spot. A lot of the world is changing around us. I think we've uniquely positioned ourselves to take advantage of that. So appreciate your time today and look forward to the year ahead.
We'll have much more for you coming up from American Football Meet from Las Colinas, Texas. We'll hear from some of our football student athletes about some of the things that they do off the field. Stay with us.
At Tulane University, we are innovators who embrace our unique and unite behind a shared commitment. We make way for research that matters. For big adventures. For hell of a hullabaloo. For ideas first. Through research, collaboration, and innovation, we make way for a better tomorrow.
A decade of power performance.
And the vision for a powerful future. This is the American Athletic Conference.
You know, college is a small window, but it changes you forever. Research and discovery, creativity and boldness, friendships and purpose. This is your Midwest Memphis journey. Where you find your voice, it's both free and defined. The University of Memphis is the bridge to who you become. Follow your heart. Follow the roar.
This is the fact that you are all, and we are all beacons of light. Light warriors. Don't allow anything or anyone to ever squelch it, diminish it, or try to push it into some corner. It's too big. You are too big and too grand. Can anybody hear me?
The conference seeks to serve our student athletes. That's what we are all for. Academics, and what we're bringing together are our student athletes with our athletic and our research conference, and having those come together where we can not only listen to research that has already been performed, but actually interact with each other.
My favorite part was probably networking with the other student athletes. The social aspect.
Okay, once again, for joining us for the American Athletic Conference, we will have a second session later on this evening. So we'll be back on later for American Athletic Conference coverage here on Facebook and YouTube. So once again, everybody have a good rest of your Thursday afternoon. Please be safe out there with the rain coming. We don't want nobody getting in wrecks and stuff like that. So everybody have a good rest of your Thursday. And we'll see you later on for American Athletic Conference afternoon session.